All right, everyone. You know the script. Friday's video, the morning briefing from the Celtic Way. I'm Hamish. We've got Tony and Ryan as well. And we're building up to the cup final, guys. We're a day and 5 hours away at this stage, so it's here pretty much. Celtic's final game of the season. Will we end the season on a high? Will it finish with a bitter defeat to our rivals in the cup final? What do you think, Tony? Is it going to be a good weekend?
I think everybody's up for this, aren't they? Make minds a wee Barney Rubble, as they say. A wee double. Let's do it, eh? I think there's a mood of confidence. It's not arrogance,
Yeah,
but it's confidence based on what you've been watching and based on the last few performances from Celtic. And you just feel that this team's good enough to turn up and win, regardless of what Rangers do. You know, you've seen all the press reports yesterday from the media day that some problems for Rangers team selection wise, but I really don't buy into anything like that. I just feel confident in this group of players, but my caveat is you never ever underestimate your opponent, and that's what the manager was saying yesterday.
yeah.
They've not got the right to be arrogant. They've not earned any right to be arrogant. Just calm down, everybody. Just they've got one more job to do, and I just feel that the manager feels that the players can perform on the day. Callum McGregor feels the players can perform on the day, and I think the fans are united behind them in doing that. So yeah, it is the same old story, isn't it? That if Celtic turn up and play to their capabilities, they win the game because they're a better team with better players at this moment in time. That's what I base it on. But you always have to respect the fact you're playing your rivals, and this might be a one last hurrah for a few of them. So that's their motivation, isn't it?
Can work both ways as well. That can't
Correct.
it?
Yeah.
I think we saw that, ourselves out in that COVID season, that when we were kind of hoping for a last hurrah, if things aren't good behind the scenes, then
Yeah.
you don't get that fairy tale ending. Ryan, I mean, if you were a neutral, not affiliated to Celtic or Rangers, looking at this fixture and looking at the 4 meetings so far this season, you would make Celtic favourites based on what you've seen so far.
Favourites and big favourites as well, I would say, because I mean the score lines only tell half of the story, because most of those games Celtic, of the vast majority of the amount of time Celtic played in those games, they dominated possession, they dominated the ball, and they were playing the better football of the two teams, and that was even when Rangers had more of the first team players available for selection. Going into this game, Celtic are the massive favourites because of the teams 1 to 11, they've got a stronger team than Rangers, and it just so happens that Rangers are having some injury problems of their own. Not going to go and get overconfident or cocky or arrogant or anything like that, but I'm confident that this team can go out and do the business tomorrow afternoon. They've got the players. They've got players that have done it before. They've got players that have won a treble, numerous trebles. Cal McGregor, James Forrest, people that just know how to win with Celtic. You can't have enough. You can't have too many wingers. Winners. You can't have too many wingers. You can have too many. You can't have too many winners in the team. Success is just what this club is all about, and there's plenty of successful individuals in that team. I'm very, very confident for tomorrow because I think they'll do the job. I think for Rangers, a lot of players are halfway out the door already, and I think that could play a factor too. I'm just feeling like if Celtic turn up and do the business tomorrow, it could be comfortable. But these games, they almost never work out like that. It'll be a nervy occasion. It's a cup final. It's a 50-50 split. I'm just looking forward to getting involved in watching the game in person, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm very jealous of you guys going along. Listen, there's loads to chat about. Good to have you all with us. Those of you who are watching us live, please get involved in the chat. Let us know what you're thinking ahead of the game. I see all the comments coming up. Well, we all do, and we'll drag some across. If you're watching afterwards as well, appreciate it. Just first of all, before we get on with the chat, big thanks to MPH Boilers and Weissman for sponsoring this video. If you're after a boiler, those are the people to go to right now. Big supporters of the channel, so check them out, and links will be in the description. We've also still got this going, guys.
We do, yes, 6 months of access for a single £1. Plus, you could win lunch with the Celtic legend that is Martin O'Neill. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. If you subscribe right now, you'll get exclusive access to the content that's going out just before the game, which is Alan Morrison's pre-Glasgow Derby analysis, in which he debunks the theory that form goes out the window in these games. It's a common cliche going into these games, but it just so happens that it's the complete opposite in form. It usually goes to form in these games, like every other football match. So that'll be on there. Tony was also speaking to Andy Lynch that got a goal against Rangers in the cup final quite a few years back. You'll need to remind me on the year, Tony.
1977.
1977, so a few years ago, but Tony was in contact with him and it was talking about what that was like. So I'm getting that sorted. That'll be going at about 12 o'clock today, and then 3 o'clock the predicted lineups will be going out as well. So plenty of content to get your teeth sunk into. Please subscribe, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Thank you very much, guys.
Indeed. Does the team pick itself for tomorrow? For me, I have no position where I have a quandary in my head. I genuinely don't.
I asked the manager yesterday, Hamish, the one question that I thought would be the quandary, and that was up front. Because Ida was great against Kilmarnock, but Kyogo come back in against St Mirren and scored a wonderful goal. And I just sort of couched it with, is that a dilemma, or is it just a kind of good headache to have? And he said to me that, or he said to the broadcasting, we were all sitting there, he sort of said it's a great dilemma to have, knowing that whoever he starts with can be trusted to do the job. So he was, but from what I gathered from his answer, both of them will play at some point tomorrow, but I think he'll start with Kyogo because he's got a tremendous record at Hampden in finals for Celtic, and he's also going for his 8th Derby goal. The number 8, you wouldn't put it past him to do that, and I just think it's brilliant the fact that Adam Ida can come on and change it if needed. But just a player of that calibre coming on, and I like Adam Ida coming on. I like what he's brought to the party. I've written a piece the other day which is doing extraordinarily well on the socials. I will tell you that I'd interviewed John Hartson, but I also put Sutton and Lennon's comments from the Sky interview on Saturday, and it also reminded people that Stephen Kenny, who gave Adam Ida his international debut for Republic of Ireland, he nailed it bang on when he said this guy's goals will win you the title, and he called it, and he said it was going to be fine margins, and he couldn't have been more bang on. And I think his contribution, counted up, his 8 goals have contributed 16 points. I think Adam Ida's got one big role to play tomorrow when he comes on, and he's got one more big goal in him, and I think he'll come on and score and help Celtic get over the line as well. But if you're asking for a starter, it's Kyogo, and as you say, spoiler alerts, but it's the same team that defeated Rangers at Celtic Park, isn't it?
Yeah.
It has to be the same starting team because it ain't broke. It doesn't need fixed. And even when he did tweak it against Kilmarnock at Rugby Park, they were all on point, weren't they, with Ida there? So, but I just think he'll go with Kyogo because of his record in cup finals, and he's a big game player, Kyogo. He just seems to switch on.
I'm just trying to think there. 3 cup finals for Celtic, 5 goals, I believe. Incredible record. So, I mean, Kyogo starts, and it's no slight in Ida. Hopefully people know by now that I'm one of Adam Ida's biggest fans, and I have been even prior to the Kilmarnock game throughout his entire stint since that debut at Easter Road. I love Adam Ida, but Kyogo starts tomorrow. Absolutely no doubt there for me. And there's not another position that I would look and say, I'd put him in. You're not going to put Narovsky in at this stage for a cup final. It'll be Scales, and Carter Vickers at the back. The team picks itself for me, and a lot of the players are kind of rested as well. A few played last weekend, but like Carter Vickers, Johnston, Forrest, Maida were all rested. So Ryan, any other thoughts? Anyone who could be deserving to get in that team?
The team that started apart from Adamida against Kilmarnock, I think will start this game. It's just got to be the strongest 11 for the biggest game. It is the biggest game of the season, always the next one, but it is a big one in terms of momentum going into next season. In fact, I would go back and say that the biggest games have already passed, and I don't want to call this necessarily a bonus, but they've done the bread and butter, which was the league, which was the most important thing. You're going to get that £60 million bounty at the end of the season, get the Champions League as well, which is going to be really, really exciting. Although I did read somewhere that there are some games on Thursdays now in the Champions League, which is quite mad. I think somebody coupled that with the game's gone. Loads of managers saying that the game is gone if the Champions League is on a Thursday. But yeah, I think it'll be the same team. Apart from Adamida, it'll be Kyogo that will lead the line, just because Kyogo does lead the line against Rangers. That's just what Kyogo does. His record speaks for itself. Hasn't scored in the last 2 games against Rangers, so it'll be something for him to work on. Hopefully he can get off that number 7 that he's got at the moment. He's been sitting on that number 7 for a wee while now, since December. So it's about time that he gets to number 8, at least number 8 on Saturday. You wouldn't put it past him. He's got previous playing at Hampden. How he announced himself against Hibs basically in that League Cup final, especially with the chip over the goalkeeper, was absolutely incredible. That was just a real... I know Kyogo had announced himself in previous games, but that was really the one game that I thought, wow, Celtic have got a proper striker on their hands, the way he led the line. Diminutive figure, yes, he's quite small, but my goodness, he's a figure, a focal point, even though he's not the tallest player on the park. And that was the game that really announced himself to the Celtic support and people covering Celtic too. I just think there's no... as much as I like Adamida, I don't think there's an argument to be had. It will be Kyogo leading the line on Saturday, and I do expect him to score because, he's just that sort of player that turns up in the big games.
He's not scored against Rangers in a year that's not 2023, guys. So he needs to put that right tomorrow. All of his goals have come in 2023 so far, which is pretty cool considering he's got 7 already. Cell88 just saying, is Johnson not injured? Don't put stuff like this into my mind. He's not. The injury update yesterday was Stephen Welsh was the only player that Rodgers named. And he's been training the last few days. I mean, Welsh isn't going to start anyway, but he's fit clearly. Apart from that, Tony, everyone's fit. Was there anything else of note for you yesterday from the manager?
Just his general demeanour. He's very cool and calm and composed, and he said all the right things that you would expect him to say. But I just know that he thinks the team are in a good place. He's most certainly in a good place, and I think he's relishing it, looking forward to it. He loves Hampden. His record was put to him at Hampden again, and he just sort of brushed it aside and said, well, this is just another one we want to win. Didn't make a big deal of it. So, yeah, if you're looking for omens and stuff, our good friend Steve McGrory has told me Celtic won a double in 1954. They won a double in 1974. They won the double in 2004 and possibly won it in 2024. So 4's a bit significant, I think, in Celtic's history. Years ending in 4. So I'm hoping that trend continues, Hamish, but it's a good bit of knowledge there from Steve. So thank you for that. So yeah, we're hoping that you just, as I say, you're confident and you're in as optimistic a mood as you can be heading into a cup final against your rivals. Caveat that with it's always a cup final against your rivals is never straightforward. Lots of wild score predictions coming in, and that's fine. As the previous manager said, fans are allowed to do that, but you just be realistic. This is Rangers' last attempt to lay down a kind of marker for next season. Although I think lots of personnel changes will be seen on both sides, so as you said, that can go for you, it can go against you, but I think there's just an overwhelming mood of optimism with the Celtic supporters because they trust this manager and they trust this team, and they've hit form at the right time, and actually the end of the season's coming at the wrong time for this Celtic team, because I think this is reminiscent of the way the manager had wanted them to start the season, but it'd be great for them to finish on an incredible high and play like that for 90 minutes and string a good performance together for the last game and send everyone happy into the summer. As I say, it will put a dampener on the summer if they lose, but that's all it'll be, because they won the title and that was the be all and end all. The double is the bonus, but now that we're here, you get greedy and you want to achieve that, don't you?
Yeah, it's an interesting point you raise there. I think we'd all admit, everyone watching this, we're going to be absolutely gutted if we don't win tomorrow. Like, we're not saying that just because we won the league, it's fine to lose tomorrow. But I think it's a good point you make. I think, put it this way, I think a defeat tomorrow is more damaging for Rangers. I think that goes on a lot longer. Their fans get a lot angrier than we will if, I really hope we win tomorrow. Do you think, having said that, guys, is there a possibility that there's more pressure on Rangers than Celtic in this game? I know we've always got pressure on us. I'm well aware of that. It's a cup final. There's always pressure in a pre-season game, never mind a cup final. But you know what I mean? Like, I feel like tomorrow the Celtic support there are going to, in a weird way, almost be in party mood because we've just won the league. We're going to be rubbing it in, Championes, all of that stuff. They're probably going to make a bit of noise before the game, the Rangers support, but I'm telling you, if they don't get off to a good start, and I'm talking like a few stray passes in the early stages, I think their support are choking to get on their team's back because they're fed up with their team. So you know what I mean, Ryan? It's almost as if we're going in very different mindsets.
I think all of the pressure in this game is on Rangers to deliver and get a result against Celtic. I know they got the free each straw at Ibrox that they celebrated like a win, which has not aged particularly well in the weeks that have followed. They need something. They need something to just cling on to. I think Clement needs something, although they did win the League Cup earlier. As such, that seems to have been forgotten about because Celtic weren't in the latter stages, because they were knocked out at the first opportunity. It's as much, to be honest, it's as much Michael Beale's trophy as it is Philippe Clement's, just due to the way that the managerial situation was there. They both took games for that. I feel like Clement needs something, just something to cling on to over the summer. Otherwise, it's going to be, the pressure's going to be on for their new signings. I know they're close to making a couple already. There's going to be pressure on these guys to come in for Rangers and immediately make a massive impact and try and close that gap. I think Celtic will strengthen significantly in the summer. As much as we're talking about this could be the last game for a few Rangers players, it's going to be the last games for a few Celtic players too, and maybe not just down to the fact that you'll be selling them on for better money. There'll be players that are leaving because better players will be coming in and being first team picks. I think you'll be surprised at some of the positions that are strengthened in the summer. I think Brendan Rodgers has had a good look at what he's got, probably seen what he's not got compared to the other teams that he's managed, and is like, right, I need assurances, I need strength in these positions. Yes, they're good players, but I want better players. I'm looking at left back, I'm looking at left centre back, maybe another couple of wingers, maybe a midfielder. You're definitely going to need quite a few midfielders in the summer if O'Reilly and or Hatate go. That's a big area that's going to need to be focused on, and strike position as well, because apart from Kyogo, you've only got O, because he will go back to his parent club. I just think all the pressure in this game, that yes, there are some elements of pressure on Celtic, but I think the main bit of pressure is on Rangers to get a result, because this season, for what it seemingly promised Clement towards January, February time when they were in the driving seat, it's just not going to plan, and they need something to cling on to over the summer.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting point about that. That we're all excited for the game tomorrow. Can't wait for it. I would be surprised, if Rangers fans feel the same. I think deep down they'll be dreading tomorrow.
I think the mood music from the two camps is totally different, isn't it, going into this one? But contrast that with the mood music from both camps going into the first derby of the season in September. And people were predicting that Celtic were going to get turned over, and they didn't. They won the football match. So that's, these things happen. As I said earlier, is there a last hurrah in this Rangers team? The smart money says no, but I'm not rushing to put lots of money and betting.
You don't want to find out, do you? Don't want to give them the opportunity.
Exactly. But I think in terms of Celtic are getting into this as relaxed and as cool and as calm as possible, as the manager can be and as the players can be. And I think one of the things he's spoken about, and Callum McGregor spoken about, both Brendan Rodgers and Callum McGregor, they talk about going to Hampden and enjoying it. Now, the fans are going to go there with all intent and purpose to enjoy it. But I think Brendan Rodgers is saying, this is a game, guys, where you can go out and enjoy this. You know, you've just proven against all odds that you can handle pressure because you're now the champions. Go out and enjoy this and show people why you're the champions. Show your rivals why you're a better team and have better players at this moment in time in Scottish football history. And I think he's drumming that into them, just saying this is an occasion to be enjoyed. And he's doing it for everyone that's going to be there. The half of Hampden that's going to be filled with Celtic supporters and all the Celtic supporters around the world. They feel that they have a duty of care to perform to every Celtic supporter tomorrow and the end of the season on a high and a flourish. And I think there are very few cup finals where you can go out and enjoy because they're so fraught, they're so tense. You know, there's nerves there. But I genuinely think that, yeah, there'll be nerves because they're only human, but I think the Celtic players are relishing this because they are winners. There's winners in this team. They're born winners, and the managers are born winner, and this is when he comes into his own. And I'm not saying, again, there'll be adverse moments in the game. You might get a man sent off. You might get a penalty given against you. But I think these guys have got the smarts to cope with that. I think the managers get the smarts to tell them how to cope with that, to prepare how to cope with that. And so I just think that in terms of both teams getting in, there's one team looking forward to it, and there's one set of supporters really looking forward to it, and there's one set of supporters and a team probably not looking forward to it. Dread's too strong a word, because anything can happen in a derby match. But I just feel that's the backdrop to this. And under such backdrops, it was the same when Celtic headed to Ibrox with no fans in September and pulled off what everybody thought was a shock result. I didn't, because I said Celtic would win. So I think are Rangers capable of doing the same? My answer is I'm not so sure. And I said Celtic would win that game because we had the manager and he would come up with a formation with the players that he had at his disposal to get a result. I'm not so sure Clement has the players and a formation and a style to get a result at Hampden. Having said all that, it could be blown out the water tomorrow come 4:45. But I'm pretty confident in what I've just said there. And I think Celtic have got the players, the team, the manager, and the kind of groundswell of support that will help them back that up.
See, if you look at the midfield that will start for us tomorrow, I think we're all agreed will be McGregor, O'Reilly, Hatate. I guarantee those three individually right now are counting down the hours till tomorrow. Imagine Matt O'Reilly right now, the way he's playing. He will be absolutely choking to get out onto that pitch tomorrow. I could be wrong. I actually don't think he'll be nervous in the slightest. I think he'll just be buzzing to get out there and to keep doing what he's doing and hopefully lead us to another trophy. Hatate and McGregor strike me as the exact same. They're just going to embrace it. And then ask the same question of someone like James Tavernier. I mean, I think you're right, Tony. I think it's too strong to say he's dreading it because he's a professional footballer and he'll believe his team can win the game. But I think deep down he has real doubts about his team being able to beat Celtic. And I think the same goes for a number of their players. I think our players are just can't wait to get out there. And I actually think, in a weird way, it's a strange thing to say because we've been quite dominant in the matches themselves this season. We've won 3 and drawn 1 and should really have won all 4 against them. But before the last derby, I said we owe Rangers one, and I still think that's the case. I think the last time we won, but all the victories we've had have been by a single goal, and I think we're, as I said yesterday, we're far better than just a goal better than them. Like, we're much better than that, and I think tomorrow the team they'll want to win the game, but I think the team deep down will be having chats about if we turn up and really do this, we can really put them in their place tomorrow. So I think that's a big part of it. There's real motivation there. Maybe for a team who've just won the league and won a treble last season and have been so dominant in this fixture over the last 2 or 3 seasons, you'd maybe have the question, is there going to be complacency there? I just don't think there is at all. It doesn't even cross my mind that Celtic will be going out expecting to win tomorrow. It's too big a game, and it's Joe Hart's final game of his career. I just think the team will be switched on. I think you're going to get at least an 8 out of 10 for Celtic tomorrow. Based off the recent weeks, you're going to get that. And I think 8 out of 10 probably beats Rangers tomorrow. But yeah, as we say, it's we don't want to get too carried away. Just someone was asking about the ref. It's Nick Walsh tomorrow. VAR is John Beaton. Ryan, so that's one worth watching, I guess.
Yeah, I noticed that you were talking about Matt O'Reilly, so I just took it upon myself there to look at his actual statistics at the moment. I think he's sitting on something like 6 goals in 7 games in his last 7 games.
Yeah.
His record in the post split, the only game that he's not scored in the post the split was the Dundee game, and that was when James Forrest had a bit of a stormer, and even then he was contributing in different ways in that game. He was still running the show. This is the best version of O'Reilly that we've got at the moment, that Celtic have got at this moment in time. He's went up 2 or 3 levels this season, but I think this is the biggest level yet that he's at.
Yeah.
He'll be so excited for this game tomorrow, because he knows it could very well be his final appearance in the green and white hoops. I'm hoping that it's not. I'm hoping that he maybe has another season, but I think external factors may take that away from Celtic. Maybe about 30 million external factors will take that away from Celtic and Matt O'Reilly, to be honest. But I think he is worth every penny of that, especially if he does go and have a good Euros in the summer. This could be, much like Joe Hart, this could be his sort of last hurrah. This could be the moment. That could really etch himself in the Celtic history books if he goes and has a good performance. And I back him, because he's been doing it for most of the season. I think he only had maybe a month or so in which his performances weren't great, January going into February, but I think that was partly down to the fact that he was linked with Atletico Madrid at that time. He'd never really had a big transfer link before when he was at Celtic, and I think that threw him for 6. But he's managed to stabilise himself. What an end to the season. I think history will be so kind to Matt O'Reilly when people actually look back on this season, look at the individual performances that he's had. He's played like a striker, but as an attacking midfielder with his goal return. He gets goals, he gets assists. He's a joy to watch on the pitch. He's the one player I'm really looking forward to seeing tomorrow, because I think he's got Rangers' number as well. He's been good in every single game against Rangers, but now he's getting the stats to back it up. He got that assist for Kyogo at Ibrox in the 1-0 game, which, by the way, was a great header. It was a fantastically weighted header to Kyogo that put him in the right position. And since then, he's just been an absolute menace in the midfield. Yeah. He didn't get a goal or an assist against Rangers in the 30th. In fact, he did. He got an assist for Kyogo.
Yeah.
And then now he's starting scoring goals
two.
Against.
Yeah.
He's just a big game player. I expect him to come alive again. Matt O'Reilly's been alive all season, but he's going to come alive in this fixture. That's my one prediction for tomorrow. I'm very excited to see him.
His knack of finding space is remarkable. Like, he has this ability to find space, and he did it in that last game at Celtic Park, and they couldn't deal with it. I mean, how many times, Tony, did he find space? I mean, look at the first goal.
Great players glide into space, Hamish. You don't run across a football pitch, they glide into space. And I've spoken about this before, but great players, or would-be great players like Matt O'Reilly is, they see it in pictures, don't they? They know what's going to happen prior to it happening, which is why, Johan Cruyff spoke about it for years. It's about spatial awareness. It's about knowing where you are and what you're doing. And, some footballers can grasp that pretty early. And Matt O'Reilly's one of those guys who's grasped that pretty early. Everything about him on a football pitch uses class. People say I had a wee dip in January. He had a wee dip because he's no superhuman yet, but he's on his way to being superhuman as a footballer. But just the moments of class that he's produced, that you talk about it. I mean, he ghosted into space for that goal against Rangers in the last game.
You don't notice him.
Just walked away. And there was 1, 2, 3 Rangers players that could have picked him up. He's not invisible. It's Matt O'Reilly. You would think, I better watch Matt O'Reilly because he's a dangerous player. And he just walked away saw the opportunity, knew what Callum McGregor was going to do, and he was banging the money. Little backlip, bang, it's in the net. I mean, it was in the net before I think Butland could dive, and Butland's a good goalkeeper, and it was swept by with ease. It was just like, what's the big deal here? I've been on my game. This is what I kind of do. He scored at Hampden the last time against Aberdeen. Beautiful sweep into the top corner from a cutback, which is a difficult skill, but again, drifted into space, wasn't he picked up? And you are fast running out of superlatives to describe Matt O'Reilly. He's a baller, end of. We all know that. And like Ryan says, if it is his last game in a Celtic shirt, I'm sure he'll want to make an impression and leave a lasting impression with the supporters. But for the 3 years that he's been here, and hopefully it's more, you cannot speak highly of this player that you got for £1.5 million. It is arguably one of the steals of Celtic's transfer history. We know some of the others like Lubo and Larson and all that, but for £1.5 million, Matt O'Reilly is up there in terms of the biggest bargains in Celtic's transfer market history. He has to be. Just think of the joy that he's brought you. And I talk about Larson and Lubomir and Moravcik and that, the unbridled joy that those two players brought you as a Celtic fan. But this guy's up there as well. He's brought you some wonderful moments, and he's just been a fantastic footballer and somebody that you thought at the time when they signed him, who's this guy? We all know who he is now, and fair play to him. And he's been. Do you know what he's been? He's been the epitome of a Celtic player for me. In the way he handles himself on and off the pitch. That's the player to me who's a role model and a brilliant example of what it means to come into this football club and understand your surroundings, understand the culture, and speak highly of the culture when you're outside, and just conduct yourself in a manner that is befitting the football club that we support, which we as supporters feel is the highest honour that can be bestowed on a footballer. It's not, of course, but that's the way we feel about it, and we want players that come to the club to feel about this club, to love it, to embrace it, to wrap your arms around it. And I think Matt O'Reilly did that, and I think the supporters have did that with Matt O'Reilly. And I just think tomorrow, if it is his swan song, as you say, he'll be champing at the bit right now. He'll be wanting to get out on that field and just show everybody why he's a talented footballer. But he's been exceptional since he came in, and I think he's going to have a say in what happens tomorrow as well.
Can't wait to see him tomorrow. And you look at that midfield of O'Reilly, Hatate, McGregor, which for me is the best midfield we've had since probably the Martin O'Neill days. In terms of those three playing together and the quality, my light's just gone off. They basically cost us like $3 million between them. What are they worth now? I mean, McGregor is priceless, but Hatate and O'Reilly will probably both go for certainly over 20 million when they're eventually moved on. So yeah, can't wait to see that. My big prediction for tomorrow, we're going to score a goal from outside the box. How about that, guys? Right, I just want to go through a few comments. Stephen saying the big three will miss you a lot when the season's over. We're not going anywhere, are we?
Not that I know of. I mean,
no,
at certain points of the summer we'll be going.
Yeah.
At certain points of the summer, maybe one or two of us might be off the screen, but the morning briefings will remain. We'll find a way of keeping them on during the summer, especially during the Euros, and we'll have stuff to talk about, transfer stories, pre-season tour. Just looking forward to getting into all of that as well. Looking forward to the break as well. As much as it's been an enjoyable season full of ups and downs, I'm looking forward to the break and taking stock of what's happened this season and getting ready for the next one.
On that, I wanted to say thank you to everybody who's been with us on this journey this season, and thanks for your support, thanks for your comments, couldn't do it without you, and also thank you to you, Hamish, for coming on board. It's been very enjoyable since you joined us as well, and
it's been eventful, hasn't it?
Exactly, but it's been, because I say, we've actually never met in person, for those who find that hard to believe, but it's been pretty seamless since you came in and took over the reins. So I want to say a big thank you for that. But thanks to everybody that subscribes and joins in and enjoys the content. It's been another wonderful, enjoyable and roller coaster ride of a season. We've got one last hurrah tomorrow. I think everybody's up for this, aren't they? And so hopefully that's the way it pans out. But I just wanted to say thanks to everybody. We
Yeah.
aren't going anywhere, but we appreciate everything that you do every morning coming in the comments channel, and we couldn't do it without you, basically.
Yeah, 100%. As Tony says, we're not going anywhere. We'll be we maybe struggle at times for stuff to talk about, but that's where you'll come in. We'll maybe do some Q&A things and stuff like that. Big Dom saying that the team is relaxed and focused, according to Brendan. I touched on that quote yesterday, and I quite like that. Mark saying Hampden Fitba is completely different. Fitba, though, in it, the pitch is so open.
Absolutely.
Quiet confidence from my ball. Also saying the fans need to back them throughout the whole game tomorrow. We are the 12th man. Patrick saying that Rangers haven't won a meaningful game against us since September 2021, so yeah, the pressure definitely on them. Keith saying the build-up's been weirdly quiet, which I would agree with.
Quite like that though, Hamish.
I like it
I
quiet.
quite like that. It suits, I think, everybody, doesn't it? There's been you block out the noise, any other noise anyway, but I think in terms of a Celtic Rangers, I mean, this is the first one in 22 years, and as it was flagged up yesterday, surprisingly, Callum McGregor's never played Rangers in the Scottish Cup final. All the finals that he's won, and he was saying that was a bit of an anomaly, so yeah, he's hoping it ends up with all the rest of Callum McGregor's finals.
Yeah, Thomas saying the only difference tomorrow between previous games and tomorrow is a 50-50 split. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting fact. But a good atmosphere, I guess. And next season, obviously, we're going to the 5% away support, so hopefully that'll all be improving. And Plunge saying we underestimated Aberdeen. That won't happen tomorrow. Listen, I feel good about tomorrow, but as always, for anyone going to the game, please make as much noise, back the team as much as you can, because I firmly believe we as fans have a part to play tomorrow, and be prepared for a battle again, just like we were at Celtic Park last week. I think if we turn up, and more importantly the team turn up, we'll be double winners, and what an end to the season that would be. If you guys get any other videos before kick-off?
I think the next one will be a pre-match, to be honest. It'll be because the press conferences, Tony and I were both at the press conferences yesterday. We didn't manage to do a video after that because it was getting quite late in the day. So the next video that we will do will be from Hampden, where we'll do our proper pre-match build-up. We'll talk about the actual official team that's out, which I'm hoping will be the one that we're both going to be writing about in the predicted 11, the predicted lineups today. But yeah, I think we'll be live tomorrow, round about quarter to 2, 10 to 2, round about that, 5 minutes after the team comes out. I'm going to try and get to Hampden nice and early. Had a bit of a problem last time getting to Hampden with the traffic. Didn't realise how busy it was going to be on the motorway. So yeah, I'm going to be there nice and early tomorrow so that we're all sorted for the team coming out.
Great stuff. Enjoy yourselves, guys. Let's hope everyone can enjoy themselves. And it's a midnight kickoff here, so a late one. But I guess I've done later this season. So let's hope we're celebrating another trophy win at 2:30 or something like that in the morning. Right. All the best, everyone. I'll be back on Monday. The guys will speak to you before.